Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Try a Little Tenderness. I am your host, Reverend Dr. LaVonne D. Shaw. I am here with my handsome guest this evening, Dr. Lloyd Charles. He is the designer, the author, the creative one of this wonderful game, the Win-Win Game. I have to tell you, we're going to interview him about this game, and I have to tell you personally, my husband and I have played this game. We almost came to blows about this game, but we're going to go into the details about it. But first, I want you to know a little bit about Dr. Charles before we get into the details of this. And welcome, Dr. Charles, to Try a Little Tenderness.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a pleasure. It truly is. Let me make one correction.
Yes.
People want to credit me with creating the game. I didn't create it.
Mm-hmm.
I correct them all the time. I'm not the creator. This game was a result. It was a result of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't create it. God created it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a major problem that needed to be fixed. And I had tried, well, let me say, everything that had been tried, nothing had worked. Nothing had worked. And I came to a point where I realized the only person I change was vital. Change was vital. I mean, continuing to do the same thing over and over again. Einstein is credited with saying is lunacy. You try it. If something else, you back up, you try something else. I realized that change was necessary, but I also realized that I was the only person on this planet that I could change.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped trying to change other people, and I had to figure out a way to change me. And I prayed, show me a way to change me.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up one morning with this game in my head intact. I don't know if you ever had an aha, but I got it. I went to the office and typed this game out and printed it and laminated it and cut the pieces, and that's where the game came from. Now, I will take credit for being the author.
Mm-hmm.
I will take credit for being the trustee because I really feel as though I've been entrusted with this game, and that's the only credit I take.
Okay. All right. The Win-Win Game. I tell you, you need to play it. And it's not just for married couples. It's for mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, of course husbands and wives, but fathers and daughters who think that their father might have a favorite child. Play this game with your dad, and you'll really find out how much your dad really does love you. Where you think he's not being your friend, he can't be your friend. He has to be your parent. So you'll find out with the relationship game exactly how much you are winning when you might think you're losing, but it is the win-win game. So Dr. Charles, you shared a little bit about how God gave you the vision, but share a little bit with us about yourself, your personal testimony.
Me? I don't know how far you want me to go back, but I was born in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
D.C., and not many people can say they were born in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Actually, as a matter of fact, my mother was born here, my grandmother was born here, so that makes us three generations.
Wow.
Third generation Washingtonians. I went to school 1 year in the public school system. I went to Henry T. Blow, and from Henry T. Blow, my father transferred to St. Cyprian's. From St. Cyprian's to Holy Comfort, so I graduated from Holy Comfort over East Capitol Street,
Mm-hmm.
and on the southeast side, and then I graduated from Archbishop Carroll High School up on Harewood Road in the Northeast. And after that, I went to University of Dayton in Dayton, Ohio. Spent 3 years there. And I left Dayton and was accepted to Howard University Medical School, College of Medicine. I actually got into school without a degree. After 3 years at University of Dayton, there was a special program, and my grades were good, and I did well on my exams, and I got admitted to Howard University College of Medicine without a degree. Finished there. And I did my fellowship in pediatrics at Howard University Hospital, and I left there and went to NIH, National Cancer Institute, as a clinical associate. 2 years, stayed there for 2 years, and then I left that and that prestigious position, and I opened a private practice.
Okay. Private practice.
That's me.
In pediatrics.
Pediatric private practice in pediatrics.
Well, that's all in yourself, and also how you got started.
How I got started?
Yeah.
In what? Oh, with the game?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have, I've been married for many years. 12 children. 8 boys, 4 girls.
8 boys and
8 boys and 4 girls. And people's, they look at you funny. And I used to joke and say, wherever we went, we looked like a parade. You don't sneak into anywhere with 12 children. You do look like a parade. And things were going quite well, and we did quite well. But in the practice, when I got started in private practice July 1st, 1980. And things started slow because I knew absolutely nothing about business, but we learned along the way. God's been good at every point along the way. We did quite well. Very busy practice at Greater Southeast Hospital, and I had staff privileges at a number of other hospitals. And when I started my practice in 1980, things were a lot different than they are now. Most of the families that came to my office were married. Most were married. 85% of the folks that came to the office. Most of the families were stable, and most of the families seemed pretty happy. The children were pretty much under control, and a lot of the people had their children in private school. So finances back then were okay. I mean, people they'd work and they'd retire, and you kind of knew what was going to happen with your life. But over the years, I noticed a gradual deterioration. Now, this game was launched on January 1st, 2004. Just to give you a little background, I received this game in 2000. I received this game 11 years ago. 11 years ago. And like I said, I was ecstatic. I knew I had to change. I did not want my marriage to dissolve. The negative forces that impacted my patients and my practice also impacted my family. It was just a gradual deterioration. Now, only about 20% of the people who come to my office are married. About 20%. Hardly anyone has their children in private school anymore. They can't afford it.
Right.
Economics is just terrible. Our economic situation has not been this bad since 1929, the Depression. Typically, when it gets bad, the Washington, D.C. area is isolated, insulated, because we have the federal government here. But not this time around. People, we crunched the numbers on our practice, and about 20% of the folks who have come to my office for years they no longer have jobs, which means they no longer have health coverage, which means they can no longer come to the office. So, gradual decline, and then the bottom just sort of, past few years, the bottom sort of dropped out of things. So, how did the game come back into my life? How did it resurface? Well, I didn't tell you that when I presented the game to my wife, I was ecstatic, but she wasn't. Our marriage had deteriorated to the point where she looked at the game and she laughed in my face. I presented it to her. She said, "I ain't playing your stupid games." That's how bad the marriage had gotten. And I tried to explain to her, this, and I got that about 3 or 4 times. "Stupid games!" And she stomped off. And I just said, it's like, okay. I had made what I thought was the last step that I could make. I was going to change me. Understand what I'm saying? I'll change everybody. No. I was going to change me. And I prayed for God to show me a way to change me. To reward me when I behaved appropriately and penalize me when I behaved inappropriately. And I just knew I had it. Anyway, head down, tail between the legs. I put the game in my drawer at my desk, and it sat there. I eventually threw it away. It stayed on my computer, and I really didn't give it any more thought. We went ahead, the marriage went the way it was going, and then we divorced. Last year about this time, my oldest son called me. We used to have a water business. He said, "Daddy, I'm thinking about restarting the water business. You have any of that water business information?" I said, "I don't know, Michael. I'll go on the computer and look." I went on the computer looking for the water business information from my oldest son. and I stumbled across the game. You're like, oh. Do I delete it or do I open it? I opened it up and I read it. And I said, this is ingenious. Now, 11 years ago when I looked at it, I didn't see it as ingenious. I just saw it as a way to fix my personal problem. Fast forward 10 years, I saw how ingenious this game was. I sent it to a friend of mine who's a psychologist, and she read it, and she emailed me back. She said, Doc, do you realize the therapeutic implications of this game? And I said, yes, ma'am, I do. And I took that as a message and as an assignment. Reflecting on what had happened to my family, my marriage, reflecting on what I had seen happen to all of the families, virtually all of the families that came along. Folks that thought, I never thought, not in my wildest dreams would I have thought that some of the families that had fallen apart would ever fall apart. I never thought my family would fall apart. I never thought that. I said, this game's got to get out. People have got to get this game. Well, I didn't know anything about producing games and publishing games. I just got busy. And when I look back, I can see God's hand at every step of the way, opening doors where I didn't even see a door. Anyway, we launched on January 1st, 2012, and the launch was a dismal. My idea was, New Year's, we're going to start the year out right. I need to get this game to folks and talk about New Year's, make your New Year's resolution stick this year. Not just for 2 weeks. We're gonna change your life, get the win-win game, and play this game. Well, it didn't work. I wasn't deterred, disappointed, but not deterred. I just got busy. And what happened? Someone from an organization called CEO Space saw the game, the local chapter, and they bounced it upstairs to headquarters, and the people at headquarters saw it, and then they started putting the pressure on me to move this game to come. They wanted me to come to Vegas and take it to the forum and present the game at the forum. I didn't have any money, and along the way, now I was quote committed to getting this thing out. Okay, I knew people needed it, but along the way, I ran into people who when I first started, my vision of the game was that big. That's all I saw was my little myopic thing right there. Then 10 years later, I saw it this big. Then people who saw it said, well, Dr. Charles, had you thought about Dr. Charles? 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 And people whose vision was more broader than mine. And then I started getting a true vision of what this game actually was, and how big this game actually was, and what it was going to require to get this game out to people, and how far it was going to take me out of my comfort zone. And you know what I did? I started talking myself out of it. I did the Moses thing. And I had talked myself out of it. Oh, no. Because I didn't want to go that far out of my comfort zone. I didn't want to take on something that big. I started seeing the worldwide potential on this thing. You know something? I woke up with a message. I'm going to give you a message. It was in 2 parts. The first part of the message was, don't see yourself as yourself. See yourself as an instrument. See yourself as a vessel. If that didn't hit me hard enough, the second part of the message was, if God can use Balaam's ass to deliver a message, why can't he use you? That's below the belt. Oh my God, why'd you go there? Did you have to go there? The answer is he did. And I said, all right, boss, I'll do it. Okay, boss, I'll do it. Then I got busy. And that's how we got to where we are right now with this game. This game is beyond me. There's nowhere in the world that I could have thought it up. There's nowhere in the world that I could have gotten this game to where it is right now. There's just nowhere in the world. So Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Dr. Charles. We're going to take a little break right now and send you to commercial, and we'll be back with you momentarily. Thank you for. Welcome back to the Win-Win Game. Welcome back to Try Little Tenderness. You know we're live, so it's going to be mistakes and all, but we are here with Dr. Lloyd Charles, the author of the Win-Win Game, and he's about to tell us a little bit more about the Win-Win Game, how you can get it, and the importance of playing the Win-Win Game and the instructions and all the good stuff that goes along with it. And I'm going to try not to interject too much of my personal information in it, even though my husband and I played it. But we want you to know that it's a wonderful investment for you to make in any relationship that you might be dealing with, be it with you and your spouse, you and your child, you and your parent. You know, it might be your father or your child's, your grandparents, or whoever, but even you and your boss. It could be a good relationship. Whatever the relationship might be, horizontal, it will be a great investment, the Win-Win Game. Tell us more about it, Dr. Charles.
Yeah. Okay, and what you say is true. When I first saw the game, I just saw it for couples.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized relationships, my God Almighty, is just not man-woman. Every person on this planet has multiple relationships. Even when the phone rings and it's a perfect stranger on the other end of that phone, you speaking to that person and you've established a relationship. Think about it, you have. There's no telling where that relationship might lead. Your best friend, your wife, your husband, at one point was a stranger. Mm-hmm. And you met. And then whatever happened, and there you are. If the relationship had gone that way, then you all would not have. Understand?
Yes.
Okay. Relationships are vital. As a matter of fact, it took me over 50 years to realize relationships are our most precious possession. What do? We chase education. Mm-hmm. We chase money. We chase cars. We chase houses. We chase careers. We chase pleasure. We chase all sorts of things. Entertainment. We chase those things, but we do not chase relationships with the same vigor that we chase those other things. And when those other things are gone, if you have those other things, you don't have a relationship where you have.
Wounded one.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, anybody and everybody that has a relationship that needs to improve must play this game. I'm saying must. And you have to play the game properly in order for it to have anything. Now, how do you play? Do you want me to go into how you play the game?
Sure.
Okay. Two people decide our relationship needs work. We're gonna do this thing. By the way, it's fun.
Yes, it is.
I'll just say you and I are playing. Okay. I know you're married, but you and I are playing just for discussion's sake. You have things that you want me to do and you want me to stop doing. And I have things I want you to do and to stop doing. That's just the way human beings are. It's all about, please hear me, control. That's what I should have done first. Relationships involve people. People involve control issues. Control sets up conflict. Mm-hmm. Conflict sets up confrontation. And confrontation sets up tit for tat. It's a process that always spirals down. It never spirals up. Okay. So, we're born with what I call the desire to control wire. We can't help it. It's part of our makeup. It goes even deeper with DNA. We have to control it. That's just of nature. And people argue with me, especially women, because women don't like that word control. You say the word control to most women, it's like waving a red flag in a bull's face. But I tell people, you got to get real. It's about control. It's about control. If you don't think we're born with that control wire, do this. Here's an experiment. Take two, quote, innocent babies, put them in a crib together, and just watch them and see how long it takes before they start beating each other to death. Take two perfect strangers, put them in a room. Watch them and see how long it takes them to size each other up and start controlling each other or doing their best to. That's how we are. So what does this game do? This game enables you to control the only person on the planet that you can control yourself. Now, how do you do that? Okay, we make our list that I talked about. Now, I know what I want. I know what I want you to do. I know how I want to control you, and you know how you want to control me. Let's say it that way. We look at each other's list, and then we have to decide what's doable and acceptable. Now, what's on our wish list is going to fall in 3 categories. Category number 1, now I haven't done it, but all right, I can do that. They go on the reward sheet, the easy ones. Then there's going to be a group of, well, I don't know about that. I've got to think about that a little bit. They go on the big reward sheet. Then there's going to be the third category. You got to be out of your God-thinking mind. Did you fall down and bump your head? Are you crazy? Yeah, you don't throw those away. You know why? If they were significant enough for the other person right now, significant enough, we got to deal with it at some point because it was important to them. You take those, you put them in the drawer. We'll get to those later after we work on the first 2. Okay, then we divide the cards. You got 1+ cards in there, you got -2 cards in there, and you don't sit down like chess or checkers. You play this game as you interface during the course of the day, even on the phone. Okay? You do something nice, kind, and sweet, I give you 1+ card. I do something nice, kind, sweet, thoughtful, you give me 1+ card. Why is that important? It's important because we all do sweet things. Mm-hmm. But they disappear. Why? Because they're taken for granted. I could be the surfiest, sweetest person, kindest person, and so could you. At the end of the day, do we have any points? No, because everything we did was taken for granted. No points at the end of the day. So this little simple, here's a 1+ card for you, it's vital. You keep the cards. But we all do stinky things too, don't we? Mm-hmm. Oh, here we are. And 99.9% of the time when we do something stinky, we know we did it because we can smell it ourselves. Mm-hmm. Now, we pretend like we did, but we know we did. If the other person doesn't respond, we think we got away with it. No, we didn't. It went into their permanent long-term memory bank part of their brain. I like to call it Pandora's box. It goes into Pandora's box. It goes into that. I want to get you back later part of the brain. We all got that part of the brain, okay? That's if they don't challenge us. But if they do challenge us, here's what happens. We don't think about what we did. It ain't as bad as what you did last week. I don't have time for that comment. You always I can never please you. You're time. Okay? Mm-hmm. Where'd that come from? Out of our Pandora's box, part of the brain. And they take it for about 30 seconds, and what happens? They go to their Pandora's box, part of the brain, and there you are, like 2 rabid pit bulls over what it could have been. Babe, would you please squeeze the tube in the middle and not at the bottom? It could have been something that simple.
Right, true.
You stand there, babe, can you open the door for me? What you mean? My hands are full, I'm on the other side of, you see? And that just triggers the whole thing. Slam, slam, bam, bam, I got a headache. For 2 weeks. That's before the game. Mm-hmm. After the game. Somebody does something stinky. Step number 1, and this is vital. Take that long, deep breath. Put yourself mentally in a quiet, happy place. Step number 2, zip your lip. Step number 3, reach in your pocket, grab a -2 card. Step number 4, hand in the card, lip zip. Step number 5, exit stage left, quick, fast, in a hurry. Why? Because if you stand there too long, the zip is going to pop off somebody's lip, and you know what's coming out. You know what's coming out. Mm-hmm. So you get away. They know what they did. Please don't discuss it because you're just going to open up Pandora's box. Give them a thing, we'll go back to business. And you pass cards back and forth like that all week long. At the end of the week, we tally up the cards. Day 7, tally up the cards. I'm going to say for discussion's sake, you got the high, I always say, ladies, you got the high point total. You know what that means? That means I won the game. Now, how did I win if you had the most points? I won because that week you treated me better than I treated you. And so I was king of the week for a week. Now, it could be you were queen of the week, but discussion's sake, you got the points. I got the good treatment. Now, I tell ladies all the time, please don't expect that guy to feel it on his face or out of his mouth that first week because it's not going to happen. But trust me, he felt it where it needed to be felt. Don't get on him about that. Just go back. Here's what you do. You take your points, you pull your list out, and you say, honey, do that one. You redeem one of the rewards off your sheet. So in 1 week's time, you got him to do something that he's not done, no matter how much you asked, begged, pleaded, cried, nagged, negotiated, acted up, or withheld services. You got him to do it. Right. You won. Are you happy about that? I think so. So that's why it's a win-win. Both of you happy. Divide the cards, play another week. Same way, play another week. Discussion's sake, You got the high point total 2 weeks in a row. That means I was king of the week for 2 weeks prior. By now, I might feel it out on my face a little bit. I might feel it out my mouth just a little bit. But now you take, anytime you got the high points 2 weeks in a row, you get to redeem 2 rewards off your sheet. So now in 2 weeks' time, you got me to do 3 things, no matter that I've not been able to do. You see? Win-win. But you don't stop after 2 weeks. You must play for 3 weeks, and I'll tell you why. I went over how the game works. Now here's why the game works. We call these things brains, don't we?
Right.
You know what they are? Computers.
Mm-hmm.
They're computers. Every computer is programmable, and every computer is controlled by the programming, every single one. So what this game does, it systematically, immediate positive, negative feedback, programs out the negative, tit for tat, bad attitude, bad behavior. Here's the word, habit. It programs that habit right now, and it simultaneously programs in the positive habit. That's why it works.
21 days.
21 days. Now, the hard-headed and stubborn are going to take longer because change is a process.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as the process is in process, you're making progress. Don't stop believing. Pretty great.
Okay.
Now, did that answer the question?
Yes, it did answer my question. All right. I tell you, I'm just so excited about the win-win game and want you guys to invest. Dr. Charles, can you tell them where they can reach you and how they can purchase the game?
Right. We have a website.
Mm-hmm.
The website is win-win-relationshipgame.com. Win-win-relationship, no S, relationshipgame.com. You can go there. You can order the game online. The website that we have up now, that website was put up when my vision of the game was this big.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that website is in the process of being replaced. The vision of the game is now this big, so the website that will go up in another few days will be this big. But that's the website that will get you there.
Okay.
If you want to call the office, my office number is 301-856-3004. 301-856-3004. Now the game costs $29.95.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy it online, there's $5 shipping and handling. They're going to stick on you. But we have a pick it up at the office price of $25.
Okay.
And my office it's in Upper Marlboro, right off Pennsylvania Avenue. If you know where Arca Safety Church is, we're right down the street. If you know where Children's Hospital Outpatient Center is, we're right down the street. So happy to come on by. Staff will take care of you. And that's what it looks like. And, you know something? This game works so well. We put a warning on the back. It says, warning, the winner relationship game may prove hazardous to all relationships that need improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So, if your relationship needs improvement and you don't want to improve it, this game is going to be hazardous. So don't play it because this game is going to improve your relationship.
It's going to improve.
I thought that was cute, but it's true.
And also, I would even challenge companies to get it for team building. It's a great investment. I'm telling you, Mike and I played this game, and it got a little rough in the beginning, but it was actually worth it. And not that we had issues or difficulties. It just brought out some positive points that we needed to change to enhance our marriage, to make it better for us, to help you all. So, and Elder Mike is behind the camera smiling. So, but it's all good. It was fun. Once I got past it, and of course it was me, it was my fault. Once I got past it, it was all good. So again, invest in the win-win game. Call Dr. Charles. We'll post it on our page, our Facebook page. There's a Facebook page that you also have. We'll make sure we'll link that, and you'll get the information. Thank you, Dr. Charles, for joining us and Try a Little Tenderness. And we have some other things coming up with Dr. Charles where we're doing some other interviews. He has some wonderful other products that he has that he's not going to talk about just yet. But he's going to bring them back to us on Try a Little Tenderness. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week